Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Sunday night. It is 8 o'clock on the East Coast, and it is time, once again, to go racing here in Zoom Racing League. It is a brand new season. It is season 4. We have switched up everything. All the constructors are different. We no longer have the power manufacturers. We have switched it all up. There are 10 team principals now, and so everything to play for. No team orders. A lot of different stuff has happened on the grid. We'll take a quick look at the drivers here. Travis Robinson right now with the highest overall of a 95 in the Mercedes, switching over from Red Bull. Ian Krieger and Peter Giordano moved from Alpine over to Ferrari. Ricardo T is back, ladies and gentlemen. The Mexican assassin is back, and he is in a McLaren, partnered up with the man, the myth, the legend, EBJ, the Professor. Chris Hannigan down there, 16 with a 78 overall. Jason Pelter, the Gator, is back, teamed up with Damien. Damien moves from the Williams over to the Alfa Romeo. Let's talk about the Red Bulls. Duncan McCamick and the young man Hudson Poole. Hudson, Ricardo, Travis, Ian, all super duper fast guys that at any time, anywhere can put it on pole. But I think right now Travis Robinson, having choice of his teammate, picked out Victor Diaz, and so Mercedes starting out the year with a very, very strong contention. Jack Fletcher moves from Red Bull to the junior team in the AlphaTauri. He'll be partnered with Lee Hall, who leaves Aston Martin. Aston Martin now, Jack Pemberton has left Mercedes, and he is in the Aston Martin along with John Ranger. Big changes. Julian Pilon is back. He is in the Haas, still in Ferrari Power, and he is joined by the artist formerly known as Beamer, Anand Trivedi. So we are here at Sao Paulo, Brazil, at the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache. One of the most famous, wonderful tracks, a driver favorite, always good racing here at Interlagos. A almost 3-mile track, 15 turns, the famous Senna S's, the Curva del Sol, and of course the very tricky final turn where, Big Mama Frank, if you go wide at the final turn, you can find yourself reset to track and losing a lot of time.
Yeah, which is honestly better than what happens if you don't get reset. If you don't get reset, a lot of the time the game will just disqualify you because you'll wind up going backwards. So I'm so excited for this season. It seems like we have so many new guys in the season, and the competitiveness of it has gone up so much in all of our divisions. Like, I think everyone was really floored about how fast our D4, our new division, was on Friday, and ever since then, it's just expectations just keep getting higher and higher for everyone else.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a lot of fun. A lot of new names, a lot of new faces. Make sure I want to get a check on the audio from everyone in the comments. Been at the baseball field all day today, so a little bit slow for me. So looks like we've got, I don't know why I had the race director up. Sorry there, folks. I'm right on board with Hudson Poole, one of our new drivers. Very quick. He's been around a little bit. Also races under the name Forensic, driving the number 54 Red Bull. And so he is going to be one of our first drivers to set a time. His teammate Duncan McCamick is just behind him. And so the Red Bull's looking to set a little strategy here early. Ricardo right now, the only one coming out on the medium tires. And Big Mama Frank, it looked like in Division 2, everyone pretty well started on the softs and went soft medium with a one-stop strategy. Do you think that's what we're going to see here tonight?
That's definitely what we'll see again tonight. I think because it's the first race of the season, everyone's being rather cautious with their strategy. No one wants to be stranded out with an early safety car and not be able to pit while everyone else gets to if you start on mediums. So I think everyone's going to wind up having softs once we start the race. Maybe a few people in the back half will go on mediums just to kind of take a chance, take a gamble with the alternate strat. But most of it, we'll definitely see most people on the softs.
Well, Mercedes has struggled here in the first couple of races. Beamer did win. Come on, Josh, figure it out, bud. What are we doing here? Clicking on wrong things. There we go. Get you back on board with Hudson Poole here while we keep talking. Mercedes had kind of a rough weekend. Sad to say, Big Mama Frank is now a Red Bull driver. He was a wonderful, wonderful part of the Mercedes team last year around. And Anand Trivedi sets the first time of a 107.4. Jordan Angus immediately, the artist formerly known as Sleek, who has left Ferrari and is now in a Williams, 107.5. So pretty decent first laps here. Jack Pemberton a little bit slower, and Travis Robinson setting the bar high already with a 107.1. Still riding on board with Hudson. Hudson's going to be pushing there for pole just about every week. He and Ricardo. And I think what's going to be interesting to see is what kind of time Ricardo can do on the mediums, how close he is to that top 10, and he may just say, I want to go and start on these mediums. 106.8 for Hudson. Really quick time to begin.
Yeah, with the mediums, because he's coming out so early, I don't expect him to finish qualifying on these tires. The track evolution is just not there yet. The lap time is just not going to be there.
Travis Robinson goes 0.3 slower than Hudson with a 107.1. Good enough for P2. Currently, we'll see if that holds. There's going to be some guys that have a lot to say about that. Jack Fletcher coming in just 2 thousandths off of Travis Robinson. Got a lot of time here for the track to get rubbered in. And is it just me and Big Mama Frank, or does it look really overcast right now?
It does look overcast according to our telemetry. It's just going to remain overcast, no rain. There's possible a 16% chance of rain at 10 minutes into qualifying, so it's possible we'll get rain. But from this, it doesn't look like we'll actually get rain.
Hopefully it stays that way. Riding on board with Victor Diaz. He is on his first flyer here. Looks like he's got a pretty good gap ahead of him, and nobody really challenging from behind. Looks like the McLaren of Chris Hannigan might be picking up a little bit of a tow here from Victor. The two of them really familiar with one another. Actually pretty good buddies. They raced ACC together for a couple of seasons, and both of them just really good, solid dudes. And we'll pick back up with Victor here as we see a couple more times coming in. Duncan McCamick with a 111.7. Not sure what happened there. That is not a competitive time, and that may be just him going to lay a little rubber down. There goes Ian and Peter, both into P2, P3 for the Ferraris. 106.9, 106.95 for the pair of them. So fully 10th and a half off of Hudson Poole, and slightly quicker by 0.2 over Travis Robinson. Victor Diaz comes around the main straight into the DRS zone. DRS flap wide open, draining all the battery. Here he comes across the start-finish line, and what can he do? And Victor Diaz actually pips his own teammate by 1/10 on the nose. Victor Diaz puts it on P4 in the Mercedes.
And looking at all these times, everyone in this lobby is very easily is capable of getting the sub 7-second lap time. But it's just always a challenge to try to just put that lap together when it counts. Because when you're practicing, you usually, you restart the lap, you're in time trial, or you just reload your mid-session save, or you just restart the session, whatever. So you always have that little bit of kind of cushion underneath you when you're practicing that you don't have in the real thing. And so it's always just a little bit different when you finally get out on track for the actual race.
So, interesting of note, Damien had put it on P9 just ahead of his teammate Jason Pelter in the Alfa Romeos. Eric McNerney, who retired after last season, came back to reserve tonight for the Haas, goes P9 with a 107.29, just 6 thousandths off of Tom Hatcap with a really good time there in the Williams. Duncan McCamick did improve his time up to P7 with a 107.1. Right on board with the artist formerly known as Sleek, Mr. Jordan Angus, the Canadian assassin in the Williams, going to try to set a really good time here and get himself into that top 10.
I see Duncan finally put together a lap. 7.1s put him in P7, so he's someone who just recently got a new set of both wheelbase and pedals just over the last week. So he's been rushing to try to get a feel for those over the last few days.
Yeah, it's been interesting to talk with him. He actually he called me when he was setting them up on a video call, and he's like, dude, I don't know how these go together. I was like, read the freaking mitt. Never mind, we're dudes. Let's figure it out. And so, yeah, he was complaining about how much different it feels from his he going from a Thrustmaster TMX, I believe, with the T3PA pedals. So now going to a load cell. Or no, he didn't get the load cell yet. He has the CSL pedal. So full Fanatec setup for him. And yeah, very, very different. And anybody that switched, right in the middle of playing a game, in the middle of, a season, switching like that, it can be hairy for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. And definitely the brakes seem to be the issue, the one that he's been having trouble with the most.
You look at Eric McNerney, he's starting another flyer here. He's already used about 20% of that battery, so I think he got a really good run there. Not seeing, I'm kind of, I'll say, so Ricardo set a 107.9 on those mediums, decided to go in and put on a set of soft shoes on that McLaren. I expect him on this first push lap to be in the top 4. I'd be a little surprised if he wasn't. I believe he won here in season 2. Hudson goes even faster with a 106.8, knocks another 800ths off of his time, so increasing that gap a little bit more. And gotta wonder, we don't know a whole lot about Hudson. We know he's super fast, and so the question will be, is he a hot lapper or is he a racer? And that's one of the things where I think Ian Krieger has really matured of late, is he was sort of the impetuous child, very young, very brash, full of piss and vinegar, as they say. Great hot lapper, but then would make mistakes in the race, whether it be through strategy or trying to push too hard. But he's really reeled that in and ended up with an Alpine Constructors Championship because of it. So see if Hudson Poole can kind of learn some lessons from Ian here. And two of them sitting right now, P1, P2. Ricardo goes P7. 400 short of Jack Fletcher, just barely ahead of Duncan McCamick. Duncan McCamick has absolutely lost his Red Bull. Hudson Poole collides with his own teammate and receives a 5-place grid penalty. So the best we're going to see right now is 6th and 8th place for the Red Bulls. Absolute disaster. That is not how you want to start the season when we only have 8 rounds here in Season 4 of Zoom Racing League.
Well, that's about as terribly as you can start.
That is confusing.
That is really confusing. Like, that's. I mean, I wish we could have seen that, but how does that happen? Like, we have ghosting on. Like, why would someone crash and then collide with somebody else? That is some Codemaster shenanigans.
Duncan's making an announcement. I already did. Sorry about that, folks. I got a message from Tech Speedy, and he is actually engineering for Red Bull tonight, so I wanted to see if maybe he had some insight for me. Lee Hall goes P3. Glad we were riding on board there with the AlphaTauri driver. Lee got really, really salty there towards the end of the season. He was up there fighting with Travis, with Ian, with Peter, with Duncan. I mean, just week after week after week. And honestly, I'm a bit surprised. And I know OG was just over the moon. Campbell Lowry Hart was so happy to get Lee Hall, but to see Lee Hall follow that far, I mean, that just tells you how deep the talent pool is here in D1.
It really does. And also, the draft orders or where you draft is a little bit skewed in D1 since two team principals kind of already fill their seats.
There it is.
So
Travis Robinson, fastest lap, 106.7, immediately gets wiped out. Hudson Poole, 106.5. Ian Krager had it on pole for less than 2 minutes. So it was Ian, then it was Travis. Now it's back to Hudson. Now Hudson does have that 5-place grid drop, which would drop him down below Jack Fletcher. So that would put the two AlphaTauris, the Honda Power, ahead of the team boss and the wonder child known as Hudson Poole. So if you're OG, you got to be real happy right now as Jack Fletcher goes into the pits, trying to pick up somebody finishing up a lap here. Jordan Angus is in. Looks like Tom is coming around right now. See if he goes into the pits or if he's going to push here. With 6 minutes left, now it's about the time to come in and swap out shoes if you're going to do so. Tom's going to go ahead and finish up this lap. Let's see if he improves at all from P12 all the way up to P8, a fully 0.2 faster lap for Tom Hatcap, the artist formerly known as HTCP, the guy that you've seen in a McLaren for 3 seasons, now down in the Alpine in the vacuum cleaner. And Freddie Raz has got to be happy about that time as Cal jumps up to P10. Duncan McCamick has already been pushed down to P11, so he will have a free choice of tires. And I guess that's the only good thing that can come out of this quali for him at this time.
Yeah, well, what we've seen so far in the other races is how important your qualification time is or where you place on the grid. Even though this is a track where a lot of overtakes are possible, it basically requires DRS, and because of that, we just get everyone just kind of gets bunched up into these DRS trains where they just kind of constantly swap places. So there's not really an opportunity for people to catch them and overtake them unless they're just on a superior tire choice or tire strategy. So this track is a really, really challenging in terms of strategy because of that.
So Alpine sitting 8-10. That's going to be a little bit of an unexpected position for them. Victor Diaz in P6, Travis in P2. So a lot of the guys that we thought were going to be really fast are up there. There's nothing terribly surprising here. Proud of Jordan Angus in the Williams getting all the way up into P12. The way we structured this draft this time, Williams and Haas was kind of a crapshoot what you're going to get there at the end. And at the last moment, Jordan Angus was actually slotted to be back in Division 2 and got pushed up to Division 3. John Pilon, I think it's actually going by Julian Pilon now, but Pilon was going to be a reserve, said he was done racing, had a lot of stuff going on personally and with business. PBJ, Chris Hannigan, down to P16, also supposed to be in Division 2, wound up getting pushed up to Division 3 with people retiring, moving out, deciding they weren't going to race anymore. And just through attrition, a lot of things changed. Hudson Poole on another outlap, still in P1, clear of Travis Robinson by quite a bit. Eric McNerney in P14. Can he improve? Does improve, but not enough. Does go to P13. Pushes Damian down a spot in the Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, a lot of things have changed. We're in such an odd spot right now with our league where we have what if we had more efficient internet or just more efficient regional spacing between all of our drivers, we basically have our kind of a real in terms of pace, our real Division One split between two divisions right now. So so it can be a little bit unfortunate for some of our North American drivers that kind of get shoved into D1 when they may not necessarily be ready for it. But it also gives them an opportunity to have to race against people faster and just kind of challenge themselves.
Well, speaking of a faster challenge, John Ranger and Jack Pemberton and the two Aston Martins both improved their positions. Jack Pemberton from 19 to 16, John Ranger from 15 to 13. So a little bit work left there to do for the Aston Martins, and I'm sure Joel Guron, who's another one, Zooks, was in Division 1. Now the team principal of Aston Martin, I'm sure he's in his driver's ear right now. Be like, guys, I know you got a little bit more than this. Give me everything you got right here in this last 3 minutes of quality, and let's get some good starting positions here.
Yeah, it's a shame we didn't get to see a full dry quality session from D2 last night. Everyone only really got to do maybe 1 or 2 laps before the rain came in. But yeah, these times, all these guys in the bottom 10 are definitely capable of much better laps than they've done so far.
What can Ian Krieger do here on this time lap? We will check in him. Actually, let's check in with Lee Hall. Is Lee Hall ahead of him? Lee Hall is ahead of him. He is actually slow in Sector 3 right now. But can he make a little bit of time here and improve from that P4 position? He does. Lee Hall goes fastest with a 106.5. Absolute banger of a lap. Really good stuff there from Lee Hall. Ian Krieger, what do you have to say about it here in P4? As he finishes up, he's got no pressure in front of him, no pressure behind him. A couple of cars ahead of him, but nothing to worry about at this moment. Here he goes. He goes purple through that sector. It looks like Ian is currently fastest in Sector 2 by quite a margin. And what can he do here to finish out the lap through the DRS zone, down the main straight, fully on the battery, fully on the DRS, pedal all the way to the floor and just gripping that wheel. Does go P2, improves by 2/10. The margins here are just so fine, Big Mama Frank. There's not a lot of room for anybody to do much more than that.
Yeah, that was an amazing second sector. It must have just had just a little bit of a less of a good exit on that final corner. Really, really close.
Take a look at Jack Pemberton, and we'll jump back with Hudson Poole. Pemberton and Hudson Poole in P3. Can he improve? 5-place grid penalty, and he goes 106.4. What an absolute banger of a lap. These guys are flying right now. Check in with Tom as he comes across the line. Does improve slightly, but not enough to move up from P8. The McLaren of Ricardo should be next. He has invalidated his time. He's got to push around. He's got 1 minute to try to improve that time. Where's Peter Giordano on track? He's still a ways back, and here comes Travis Robinson. No, that is Victor Diaz in P6, about to cross the line. Does improve, but only it goes P5. Splits the Ferrari, so Peter Giordano with some work to do. And Jack Fletcher jumps Peter Giordano. Tom Hatcap is out of the session, has wrecked out his Williams there in turn 5, so he is going to be sat down, and that is the best he's going to be able to do down in P8. Next across the line will be... Is that Jordan? No, that's not Jordan Angus. Who's going to be... we got Chris Hannigan. PBJ, what can PBJ do? He is slow. PBJ is done. P17, all he's going to be able to do. PBJ actually running this season for the first time with 0 assists, no ABS, no traction control. Decided he's going to change it all up. What does Peter Giordano do? Goes 10 seconds slower there. So recharging that battery, he's got to do a big push here if he wants to jump Jack, Victor, or even his own teammate Ian. Lee Hall's done. Ian Krieger is done. Hudson Poole is done. Jordan Angus, Eric McNerney, Pemberton, Hannigan, all done. Here comes Jason Pelter behind his teammate of Damien. Damien goes P10. What can Gator do here? Gator does not improve, stays down in P18. Here comes the Mercedes of Travis into the pits. Victor Diaz into the pits. Eric McNerney is trying. Let's check in with Beamer. What can Beamer do? Stays down in P19. Lee Hall is done. Jack Fletcher into the pits, and folks, I think that is going to be it for us. Don't think we're going to have any more. Oh, no, we still have Peter Giordano. He is up almost 1/10 on his time. Peter Giordano sitting currently in P7, chasing down Jack Fletcher's time. He is 200ths away from that time. What can Peter do through the final 2 turns onto the DRS straight? Battery almost depleted down to 24%. DRS flap wide open. Pedal to the floor, trying to meet his teammate there, and he does improve. It goes P3. So it is Hudson Poole, Travis Robinson, Peter Giordano, Lee Hall, Ian Krieger in your top 5. Ricardo is done. He's still on track. No one left to set a time. So that is your top 10. Victor Diaz, Jack Fletcher, Tom Hatcap, Ricardo T, Damian, and Cal in your top 11. Hudson Poole, however, will be starting P6. So Travis Robinson, though he did not set the fastest pole time, 6,000ths off of Hudson Poole, will be your official pole sitter for the race. So it'll be Travis and Peter, Lee Hall and Ian. And so the Ferraris are going to be lined up directly behind each other in P2 and P4. And if you're Peter and Ian, I think you're really happy about that.
Yeah, I'm sure. Also, I'm sure they're really happy about the grid penalty too. So now they'll be able to be in front of Hudson. Man, 200s is what separated our top 3 there. What an insane qualifying there.
That was nuts. And yeah, and look at the diversity on the grids. Lots of Americans and, well, Peter's fake Italian. Ricardo's actually Mexican. But yeah, unfortunately for our Division 1, we are region locked because of all the desync issues in the F1 2021 game. We're hoping that's going to be fixed for the 2022 game. But you got 22 seconds right now to make sure you go over and like and subscribe if you haven't done it yet. PBJ would tell you to grab something cold to drink, get you some tater chips, and we will be right back with the race, the fastest and the best in Division 1 of Zoom Racing League in just a moment, folks. So, like I said, go get something to eat, something to drink. We're going to take just a brief intermission here, and we'll be right back with the race. All right, here we go, folks. It is time. So, like we said, because of the incident, got a little bit of an insight here. It was a miscommunication in the Red Bull garage. Duncan and Hudson were talking and were apparently deciding they were going to let one of the Mercedes through, which always the right idea as far as I'm concerned. And the miscommunication, Hudson stopped rather than just pulling off and slowing, and 2 Red Bulls made contact. And so that resulted in Duncan being done and Hudson being in P6. So 7 medium tire runners to start the race. Big Mama Frank, Jordan Angus, Colin Edwards, Eric McNerney, Jack Pemberton, Chris Hannigan, Jason Pelter, and Anand Trivedi. So alternate strategy for those guys. All of them split from their teammates. I'm sorry, I take that back. Haas is the only one where both teammates are on the same tire strategy. AWS predicted strategy, soft to hard, that's not happening. Soft, medium, probably also not happening. These guys are going to try to push these softs for about 13 laps and then go to the mediums would be my guess. Yeah,
that's usually about kind of the target lap. Anywhere from, you can kind of go in anywhere from 9 to like 17 is really the tire window or the pit window.
All right, a little bit of a weird desync issue there. Showed lap 2, lap 1. Ferraris do have the inside going into the corner. Can Travis Robinson hold them off? It's 5 lights, and we are underway in Brazil. We are racing at Interlagos. So the Ferraris on the inside. Ian moves over to cover off, and Travis gets away very cleanly. Little bit of contact. Here comes... Oh, there goes... I just went blank. Victor Diaz comes through. Almost overtakes the Ferraris. A good getaway there for Lee Hall. A little bit of a bump and grind. Here comes Hudson Poole. Hudson is trying to make it 3 wide into turn 4. Hopefully we make it through here cleanly. Let's jump back a few places here. And here comes Jack Fletcher. Peter Giordano, the big loser on that, jumping from P4 down to P6. Victor Diaz puts him down into P7. Peter Giordano, does he have damage? He is falling down the order, down into P8. Just an absolutely miserable start. Duncan McCamick down to P11. Jordan Angus drops a position. Damian Doe drops a position. So all the medium runners have dropped all the way back to the pack, to the back of the pack, because the softs are the tire of choice right now, especially when they're warm and fresh.
Yeah, so I think the medium runners knew that it's going to be like this, and they're just going to try to work together and just try to hope for a late safety car so they can take advantage of it. So we'll see what happens. Taking
a look at the telemetry app, Peter Giordano does have slight damage to his wing. Not enough that I think it's going to slow him down, but he may be... Well, I say that. There we goes. 2 more spots for Peter. Peter over to the left. It says it's only 21% damage. So yeah, Travis Robinson fastest lap. Of course, that makes sense. Peter Giordano into the pits. I assume he's going to go onto the medium tires here with a wing change. Anand Trivedi also in. Also seems to have wing damage. So not a great start from either of those 2 Ferrari power units all the way at the back early on. So we've got Mercedes, Honda, Ferrari, Honda, Mercedes, Honda. Duncan McCamick has jumped all the way up to P8 from P11. So decent start from him. Hudson Poole has made up 2 of those spots that he lost out on. Starting in P6, he's all the way up to P3 now.
Yeah, it's a really good start for him. An amazing first few corners for him, getting that many positions so quickly. Really unfortunate start for Ferrari there. Both losing out to Hudson there, and then Peter getting damaged. So without a safety car, Peter's going to be in a really rough spot.
Oh, big movers. Peter Giordano losing 17 positions. John Ranger up 5. Duncan McCamick up 4. Hudson Poole up 3. I think my math was bad just a moment ago. And yeah, so 1 stop each for the guys in the back. And both of them, I believe, Big Mama Frank. Peter went on a fresh set of softs, and Anand went back on a set of mediums. Duncan McCamick goes fastest with a 109.5. DRS.
He's pushing. He's already closed the gap. It's about 2-second gap between him and Ricardo when he cleared the people in front of him. And being able to close that gap and to get into DRS, he has a really good shot of getting a better result than he'd started with. So,
all right, so DRS.
Really good job from both the Red Bulls so far.
DRS will be active this lap. So if you're Travis Robinson, Travis, we were talking earlier about conserving battery. It's a little more difficult for the quicker drivers to regenerate enough battery around a lap, as we're kind of keeping an eye here. It looks like Travis about 81% of his battery, not using a bunch of it here to try to defend or try to increase that gap to Lee Hall. So is that what you found, Big Mama Frank, in your race last night, that the DRS, you got to be kind of conservative with it, or can you just dump and go?
It all depends. It's 100% dependent on setup. We did a lot of testing with the Red Bull as a Red Bull team this week, and we found that both fuel and battery are heavily affected by the amount of wings you run. So the lower downforce you run, you'll have significantly less fuel usage and significantly more battery available to you than the people who run more downforce.
Travis and Lee have almost dropped Hudson Poole out of DRS range. Right on board with him now to see if he actually did get the DRS through the detection zone. He does not. So advantage Travis and Lee. They'll be able to run away here just a little bit. Ian Krieger will be very happy to see that flap closed on the back of that Red Bull as he sucks that Ferrari up as close as he can. He's going to try to follow him around here. Cal and John Ranger swap spots down in P9 and P10. That's a really tight battle back there. Let's take a look at these guys. Nice tight battle and Aston Martin in the middle of an Alpine sandwich, with Damian Doe right behind them as well, doing a great job following Jordan Angus, almost fully 2 seconds back. Jack Pemberton, Colin Edwards swap positions there. So we've got one Aston Martin in the middle of an Alpine sandwich, and we got the other Aston Martin in the middle of a Williams sandwich.
Yeah, one thing we're going to see for most of this race is it's going to be really difficult for the people that are further back than the second person in the DRS train to try to make any moves on anybody. Just because because of the nature of the DRS zones, where you have a high-speed corner that you exit this zone with, and the DRS zones themselves aren't very long, so it's really hard to get alongside somebody with just battery alone.
And I think the play here, Big Mama Frank, and correct me if I'm wrong, is not to make the pass on the main straight if you don't have to hold here until turn 4. That's the better overtaking opportunity, because then you can end up swapping those positions back with the DRS, right?
It depends a lot. It depends on how quickly you can get the overtake done. The quicker you can get the overtake done in the first DRS zone, the easier it is to defend your position in the second one. Because if you are trying to make the overtake in the corner just kind of late braking, or just in the middle of the corner, your exit's going to be compromised, and the person behind you might have a better exit, and they'll just be able to attack you a lot easier.
So what do you think the thinking was here with Peter? You think he just thinks he can make up so much more time on the soft tires, trying to catch back up to the pack rather than trying to extend with the mediums?
Absolutely. I think he can make up more time, but I think the biggest thing is he's probably frustrated, and he wants to just push hard because he's frustrated because he has damage, and also his only hope in this point in the race is just a safety car. So let's just push, maybe get fastest lap, and then just maybe save our mediums for a potential safety car within the next 10 laps or so.
So Travis and Lee Hall swap positions under DRS into the Senna S's. Travis still staying really tight to him. Going to take him on the inside here of turn 4. Good wheel to wheel, no contact. Very easy to run into one another or push somebody wide here. They did a great job. Ian Krieger, meanwhile, has overtaken Hudson Poole for P3, and those two are going to be a nip and tuck the whole time. And if you're Lee and Travis, you're happy to see that, because the more they fight, as Eric McNerney looks like he's had a moment. He is off in the Haas in turn 4. Wonder if there might have been a little contact with some close racing there. But yeah, the more Ian and Hudson fight, the better Lee and Travis have it, I think.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, the issue is for the guys in front is Ian has closing that gap a little bit better than Hudson. Hudson fell down to about 2 seconds between him and the two leaders. So far, if Ian can close that gap a little bit, it'll actually help Hudson, who's been struggling a little bit as the leader of this DRS train.
All right, here comes Travis Robinson on Lee Hall. Looks like he is going to be happy to just tuck in behind him. Keeps it within 2/10. Will be pretty easy overtakes should he choose to make it here later on. Jack Fletcher, meanwhile, catching up and sticking with Hudson Poole. Jack Fletcher, Mr. Reliable for Honda, for Red Bull. And Lee and Travis do swap those positions on the second DRS zone. But Jack Fletcher, always a good guy to have around. Wonderful teammate. And so if you're OG Campbell Lowry Hart right now, super happy to see both of your guys up there in P2 and P5.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I noticed in the last few laps, it seems Hudson's pace was had a really rough couple of laps, and maybe the reason why he lost the DRS. But now that Ian has overtaken him, it actually kind of helps him a little bit. He can kind of get himself out of that little funk he may have had and kind of recompose himself.
And Ian's closed up almost half a second in that lap, and he is back into the DRS, so he is going to be able to suck up close to Lee Hall, as Lee Hall will probably take this position from Travis once again as they keep swapping back and forth. Ian dropping almost back down to that 1 second, so he's going to have to make up some time here. He does have the DRS on this straight, but he's going to have to hustle to get it through the next detection zone and close that gap back to less than a second. It looks like as they come around into the Senna S's through this detection zone, he is indeed within 1 second, so he will have DRS here in the second DRS zone. John Ranger takes a spot from Cal. Ricardo is on the back of Duncan McCamick, less than 1 second between them. They both have DRS, so not going to be a move here, but Ricardo showing some early pace in that McLaren.
While you were speaking, we missed Duncan actually go for a really nice overtake by using his old battery down the main straight. So, like I said before, it's hard. It's really hard to overtake people when you're in a DRS train, but it's not impossible, and Duncan showed it there.
Looks like we had a possible going 3 wide here through the middle sector here. John Ranger and Cal swapping positions back and forth. The Alpine's doing a good job working together. Almost go wheel to wheel there in front of Damien here. Damien doing his best to keep on the back of him. I love seeing these packs bunch up. It's absolutely wonderful to see so much close racing, with the exception of the 3 that are running in the back. But you know, the Haas, they got to be trying to figure something out here and put a little squeeze on Peter Giordano here in the next couple laps if they can work together.
Well, both the Haas's are basically so far out of each other. They're so far apart from each other that they're basically just trying to do laps and hope for a safety car. There's not really anything they can really do at this point. But it's kind of what I was talking about earlier with the DRS. We're kind of seeing like basically almost like classes, with these packs. We have the really fast guys with this almost an 8-car DRS train, but we have a gap between 2 and 3 right now. And then we have the 4 people behind them who have dropped significantly far behind. They're 7.4 behind the leaders. And then we have the medium runners who have their own packs. And we saw this in both the D3 and the D2 races last night.
What happened to Ian Krieger? He has now dropped half a second back to Lee Hall, so he is out of that DRS range. So he's going to be under attack from Hudson Poole here on the main straight. Back in P10, P11, the Alpine boys working really nicely together. Inverted the cars there, probably a little bit of strategy, swap them back and forth a few times, try to save some battery. And here comes Hudson Poole around the outside, does overtake Ian Krieger for P3, so he is up into the podium positions. Duncan McCamick's got to be really happy to see that. Duncan 2/10 back from Victor Diaz, trying to put some work in on that Mercedes. And can Ian come back here through the DRS zone? Hudson already 4/10 ahead. Really good work through the Senna S's there.
Yeah, now it's going to be the challenge of trying to catch up with the leaders. When you're in these packs, even if you're at the head of these packs, it's so hard to catch another DRS train in front of you. It takes so much for them because they can just save so many of your resources, whether it be tire and battery, by just sitting in a DRS of somebody in front of them. So it's really hard to close that gap.
Gotta wonder if there's any communication in the Red Bull garage telling Jack Fletcher to make that car as wide as possible and maybe kind of get Victor Diaz to make a mistake here to let Duncan come through, get more Hondas up there in the top 5. And you know, it's Duncan's favorite thing is anything that makes me upset or makes Mercedes look bad. That's a feather in his cap.
Where we go, we got Duncan just right on Victor's gearbox here.
One side by side. Looks like Duncan does have the advantage around the outside. Let's swap the camera around here. and not see anything special at all, but Duncan does get by Victor. Victor's still on the back. He's got Ricardo T pressuring him. So we got another DRS train from P3 all the way back. Lee Hall sucking up close to Travis Robinson at the front, but Travis Robinson firmly in command here, hasn't swapped that position back with Lee Hall for quite a few laps. So I think Travis getting into the groove here, very happy. 10-lap old softs. We're getting really close to the pit window here. These soft tire runners are going to be thinking about coming in. Damien takes a spot there. Jack Pemberton, no, Tom Hatcap has had a moment. And let's see if we can ride on board with him and see what happened. Did he get some damage there? Because all of a sudden he dropped from P9 all the way down to P16. So bad news for Alpine. They were running so well in P9 and P10.
Yeah, really unfortunate. We are within, I think at this point, everyone is thinking about what they want to do. Do they want to go for an undercut, or do they want to stick it out and try to overcut? It's so hard to make an undercut work on this track because DRS adds so much time to your lap, or gives you so much extra time every lap, because everyone is generally running higher downforce on this track, and it's hard to make up that time when you don't have it.
Jason Pelter in the Alfa Romeo up to P14 takes that spot from Jordan Angus. Damien Doe looking to make a move here on the Alpine of Cal. Cal, one of our controller players, was playing with one wing at the end of the season when he was reserving last time. Was in a splint and in a cast. As far as I know, he's back and fully healed, and his pace is looking really solid. Got that Alpine up in P10. Colin Edwards takes the spot from Jack Pemberton back P12. So that puts Jack down in P13, a ways off from his teammate John Ranger.
Yeah, this interval for the medium runners is going to be really hard to hold. I mean, they're already pretty far back, so it's not looking very good for the alternate strat at the moment. But we'll see. I mean, all it takes is one person to go flying into a wall, and the whole nature of this race changes.
See what Duncan McCammett can do here. He's on the back of Jack Fletcher, his teammate from... Travis's teammate from last year, and Duncan just absolutely flies around Jack like he's not there. Hudson Poole into the pit, so the Hondas are coming in, and so the first two in, the drivers that were further back in the order. No, Hudson when it was ahead of Duncan. So Duncan promoted into P4. Lee Hall still up there in P2. So two Hondas in. Ricardo T is in. John Ranger, Cal is in. So we're starting to see the guys come in for those medium tires. They think they can make it to the end here. I don't think we're going to see a safety car here. It looks like these guys are all pretty well bunched up, driving responsibly. And, as soon as I say that, anything can happen. Here goes Jason Pelter right on the back of Jack Pemberton. He is going to try to push it down the inside here. And nice wheel-to-wheel action, no contact. Jack stays barely ahead. Jason Pelter does have the better line here, but can he hold it here into turn 6 and 7? And he does. Jason Pelter's got that Alfa Romeo up into P8.
It's so hard to stick that when you go for the move that late on that corner. It's so hard to hold it, just because the track is just narrow and these corners are so high speed. It's just it's so tricky.
Travis sells a dummy into the pits. Lee Hall doesn't fall for it. Lee heavy on the DRS, and the battery goes in. Duncan McCammett, Victor Diaz into the pits. Two of the last soft runners. Lee Hall picks up a 3-second time penalty. Not ideal when you're fighting this close for a victory. And if you're Ian Krieger, you're really happy to see that, because that means you are in this game no matter what. Travis takes the position back, goes down the inside, turn 4, and is back ahead of Lee Hall, as these two are probably finishing their final push lap on these stops. Tom Hatcat moves up into P8. Victor Diaz and Duncan still in the pits, should be exiting soon. They are out. It still shows them in the pits for some reason. There we go. We've updated Damien Doe into the pits, Peter Giordano into the pits with the 11-lap old softs, going on to a set of medium. So right now it's Travis Robinson, Lee Hall, Ian Krieger in the lead on the older softs about to come in. Colin Edwards will inherit the lead of the race. Jason Pelter, temporary P2. Jack Pemberton, temporary P3. Glad to see Jack up there running near the front, even if it is right now just on the pit strategy. Hudson Poole, I guess Hudson Poole's technically your leader right now. He's on the 0-lap old mediums, if he can make this undercut work.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, here they go. Both Travis and Lee are in the pits.
Ian as well. So here we go. Hudson Poole. Can he take the lead of the race? It looks like Lee Hall is moving. Travis does not appear to be moving out of the track. Lee Hall is going to leave the pits first. Ian Krieger, well, the screen's all messed up, folks. So Travis Robinson is out. They're at the pit exit. Here comes the pack. Here comes Travis. Does maybe come out first? No. Hudson Poole has inherited the lead of this race behind Colin Edwards and Jason Pelter, and he can use them. Recharge a little battery here. Follow them around on the DRS, and he's good to the end here. So Travis Robinson, Lee Hall, Ian Krager have a lot of work to make up here. Ian Krager has dropped all the way down to P12 behind Duncan McCamick and Victor Diaz.
Wow.
What happened there?
I mean, that's like almost. That's just. I in this situation, I think it's just. This is just the perfect time to pit for both of the Red Bulls, because they came out right behind the medium runners and they were able to ride their DRS and just get out in front of them. The undercut worked perfectly, a lot better than it did for me yesterday. So, way to go, those guys.
And Hudson's got to be patient here. I know he wants to create a big gap here. He's got 1.3 back to Travis Robinson right now, who is about to take that spot from Jack Pemberton down the inside. Oh, and there they go, both of them through. So Travis Robinson and Lee Hall just absolutely flying by Jack Pemberton on those fresher tires. Tom Hatcap into the pits, finally done with those old softs. Nice move around the outside for Lee Hall to take the spot from Travis Robinson. Two of these can't spend way too much time battling, and if you're Hudson Poole, you've gotten around Jason Pelter. We got a yellow flag in Sector 1.
Looks like a McLaren spun around. I can't see which one. I think it's Ricardo.
Let's take a look. They're right there running together. Chris Hannikin is back and running. Ricardo is a little bit slow. He's still in 7th gear here. Another yellow in Sector 2. And was that for... Ricardo is dropping down the order here. Loses a spot to John Ranger, Eric McNerney. Victor Diaz... Ricardo has no front wing. It is
Victor
gone.
Diaz has damage also, so...
Victor drops
really
down to
unlucky for them.
P12. So all Mercedes hope lying in the hands of one Travis Robinson right now, who needs to clear Jason Pelter as quickly as possible so he can catch up to Hudson. Hudson is about to make this move on Colin Edwards to not only have the net lead of the race, but the actual lead of the race on those really fresh softs. Goes around him like he's not even there. So Klinsman drops down into P2, 16 laps on those medium tires. He's going to try to stretch him out at least another 10, about 8 laps, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, about 8 laps are probably what they can do. You can probably do anywhere from, at a max, you can probably do 18 laps on the softs if you actually asked to do it. It'll be rough at the end, but it's definitely possible if you want to try to get track position. But we definitely have seen in this race that the alternate strategy absolutely did not work. With the leaders coming out right behind you, your race is kind of toast already.
That over here, we were waiting to hear from Freddie Rizal. He was going to give us an update what was going on with the Alpine garage. Haven't seen him pop into the chat yet, but yeah, Travis probably not real happy right now. Gator making that Alfa Romeo pretty wide. There's not a lot to gain here for Jason Pelter, and a whole lot to lose if he causes an incident here. And if you're Lee Hall, you're worried about that penalty. You're worried about keeping up with Travis Robinson, and kind of watching your mirrors right now for Duncan McCamick and Jack Fletcher. A little bit of weaving on the straights there. Travis Robinson is going to go ahead and send it through on Jason Pelter and set his sights on going to work on Colin Edwards as Ian Krager sets the fastest lap on a set of medium tires, a 109.3. Really nice lap there. And good news for the Ferrari boys as they are currently stuck in P8 and P17. Here goes Travis once again. Much faster car, much faster tires. Takes Colin Edwards. So back-to-back overtakes. Tom goes fastest with another fresh set of soft tires, 109.2. So Travis Robinson 2 seconds behind Hudson Poole with a lot of work to do.
Yeah, it's just that it worked out perfectly for Hudson. You have two you have two of the old mediums in between you and the leaders, and it's just your perfect opportunity to build the gap. We saw it yesterday in the D2 race. The second Sid broke DRS from everyone else, they just could not catch him. So if he can keep that gap up, it's going to be so hard for everyone else to keep up with him.
Ricardo down in P19 picks up a 3-second time penalty. Won't be really a factor in this race. He just needs to keep it clean and take home his 2 points and start looking forward to the next race. Yeah, kind of a shocker here for Ricardo. I know, losing your wing, you can't always do a whole lot about that. As Duncan takes the spot from Jason Pelter, those old mediums seem to be losing a little bit of grip, a little bit of turn in, a little bit of acceleration here, and I wonder how much the new rule changes have changed these guys. We no longer allow any of the drivers to use full traction control. I don't know that full traction control really works at a course like Interlagos. Maybe more like a Monaco or a Baku, where it's a lot tighter and you need those fast exits. without any wheel spin. So don't know if that's coming into play for any of these guys at all.
Well, this track it kind of works the same what you're talking about. This track, it's very reliant on really nice exits without wheel spin, because any kind of wheel spin on this track, since you're just have so much steering lock on all these infield corners, too much throttle to any kind of wheel spin, suddenly your car is just facing the wrong way or in the wall. So this track is really, the traction is really important here.
A little bit of a bump there. Ian Krieger into the back of Jack Fletcher. Fastest lap to Ricardo right now. Unfortunately, McLaren won't be able to keep that point because we only award the point to the top 10. So going to be, if you're Ian Krieger, if you're Jack Fletcher, if you're Duncan McCamick, you got to be thinking about that fastest lap point here at the end, because that's going to become very important in the constructors. Looks like Jason Peltzer's finally going to go in. 18 laps on those mediums. Might be a little bit early. I don't think 17 laps on those softs is going to be ideal.
Well, the issue is the longer and longer you stay out, because of the pace of the leaders right now, you're just going to lose more and more and more time. So the earlier you come in, just to maintain track position, ride DRS, and just try to maintain, be a part of those DRS trains, it'll help you in your finishing position quite a bit. But looking back towards the front, Travis is actually closing that gap on Hudson a little bit by little every single lap. He is quite a bit down on the ERS right now, which is to be expected since he's trying to catch Hudson. Hudson's about 60%, Travis is about 30%.
Oh, Jason Peltzer picks up a 3-second time penalty, and Ricardo T is out of the session. He is DNF'd. Did he kill himself in the pits, or did he kill it on the main straight? Who's the next car across? I think the car is going to be cleared before we can do anything. I didn't see him enter the pit lane. His car is moving again, so I think he just called it quits. That may have been a disconnection. We've had issues in the past with Ricardo's internet connection. These guys are coming around here. We'll get on board with Hudson Pool and see if we can see what Ricardo's car is doing. It seems to be exiting the pits right now.
Yeah, it'll probably exit the pits and then just go to the nearest Marshall station and stop. And it's crazy that thing just drove right down into the racing line that slow. That is wild.
And now it's parked in the middle. Oh, PBJ actually has to swerve around him because the car is just parked and not ghosted. What in the world is happening here? That car is still there. Everyone's got to be very careful here. It is now ghosted, though, as Jason Peltzer drives right through it. We're going to have a persistent yellow flag in that sector. Car finally cleared. That was nuts.
I wonder if that just broke everyone's DRS. If we see there's nobody in the top 8 that are within the DRS interval. So did that just mess everyone up? Like, what just happened?
Yeah, I would assume if you're coming up on that yellow flag and you see a car not moving, you're going to check up just a little bit because you don't want to ruin your race. But how about PBJ up into P9? However, still needs to stop. He's 20 laps on the medium tires, but still doing pretty good work to be consistent here. His teammate's gone, so all hope for McLaren and Adam Klein resides with PBJ. As he comes into the pits, he's done with the mediums, going to put on a set of softs, try to make it to the end.
Yeah, you were mentioning the fastest lap a little bit earlier. I don't think it's going to be very possible for these leaders to set the fastest lap because these guys, these old medium runners, are definitely going to have the advantage with tires here at the end. So they will definitely be the guys picking up the fastest laps here.
Here comes Victor Diaz. Might be able to pick up a couple spots here through these pit stops. He's currently in P15. He's got John Ranger, Chris Hannigan ahead of him exiting the pit. Should get a good exit here. Should get heavy on the battery. Try to beat these guys off a pit road. And he's going to come out side by side with Chris Hannigan. Oh, no, he's going to tuck in right behind him, but he's going to have the advantage for at least half a lap here. Hannigan is going to have to look after those tires because if his pressures are a little bit wrong, this is one of those tracks that you can heat up those softs in a hurry and end up wearing them out early if you're not thinking long game.
Yeah, you definitely can. And as we see, there we go. Travis is back in the DRS of Hudson. So here we go.
Ian Krieger's got DRS on Duncan McCamick. So take a ride on here with Travis. See how much he can suck that gap up. Then we'll jump back to the Ferrari of Ian Krieger. It took about 2/10 out of him there, did Travis. So good work by him, catching him up quickly. Ian Krieger back 3/10. Is he going to try to make a move and sit it down the inside of Duncan McCamick? No, he's going to be patient. Kid's growing up, and he's making us all very proud right now.
Man, one thing to note is just how quickly the second Travis and Lee got into that DRS stream with Hudson, how much time that Duncan lost to all of them. So quickly. Like, I don't think Duncan is really pacing slower than he was before. It's just suddenly that DRS just drags them so far away from you. It's so hard to catch them.
And Lee Hall's in that perfect spot with that penalty. As long as he can stay 3 seconds ahead of Duncan McCamick, he guarantees himself a podium, assuming he doesn't pick up any more penalties.
Yeah, it's perfect for him. I mean, oh man, this track is so hard. And luckily for Lee, it looks like he only has 3 warnings right now, so he's in a good spot to not get another one. As long as he doesn't, he's in a really good spot.
I apologize for the coughing, folks. My lungs are and throat are full of sunflower seeds and baseball field dust. Been out there at the ball fields all day long. Here comes Travis Robinson, 3/10 back. Can he make a move here? No, he's just going to be happy to stay right there. Try to build back up some battery here and use the DRS to his advantage. 12 and a half laps to go. He's got plenty of time to try to make this move on Hudson. Don't want to make it too early and risk making a mistake. Now,
yeah, the nice thing you can do with his position right now is he can force Hudson to have to burn battery by staying behind him, and he can also farm up his own. And he just kind of use that, bide his time, and then attack in the last few laps.
Hudson with actually a lot more battery than I thought he had, almost 80% battery to Travis's 50%, but Travis has to worry about Lee Hall as well. He can't just focus ahead, so he is in the middle of a little sandwich here that could be a little bit of a pressure cooker. Ian Kreger sucking up back to Duncan McCamick. That gap from Lee Hall to Duncan McCamick has grown by another second here. It's up to 4 seconds back from Lee Hall to Duncan McCamick.
Yeah, I think Duncan at this point may know that he's just not going to catch the leading pack, so he's just going to try to conserve his battery at this point. And just his only real competition at this point is Ian. I don't think Jack is going to be able to catch them either because it's the same situation. He doesn't have DRS, and no one behind him has DRS, so he's just kind of stuck in no man's land.
Here comes Ian Kreger closing that gap. He is going to go down the inside into turn 4. Terrible camera work there. Does get the work done, and Duncan McCamick's going to have to do a little bit of following here. Remember, Duncan started all the way down in P11, so doing a really good job to get it up to P5. So we've got 4 Honda-powered cars in the top 6. Mercedes of Travis Robinson, a Ferrari of Ian Kreger. Jack Pemberton with the Mercedes-powered Aston Martin up into P7 will need to pit again. Damian Doe doing great work there in the Alfa Romeo. Damian was another one, a lot like his teammate Jason Pelter, towards the end of the season, just really started turning it on and just started turning out impressive performance after performance after performance. And it just always seemed like some little niggling thing, like a spin or a little bit of wheel spin or a little bit of an off track. And an otherwise beautiful race ended in disaster for him at Williams.
Towards the leaders, we have Travis is really close to Hudson here, so he may decide to use some battery, maybe kind of take the lead here.
Jack Pemberton finally is getting off the medium tires after 25 laps, so he'll have a little over 10 laps on the softs here at the end. Gonna need to go to work on Peter Giordano, who is now moved up into P11. So up into the traditional points places potentially for Peter Giordano after that early damage and wing replacement that had him down in P19. So from P4 to P19 to P11, how high can Peter fly today?
And it's going to be rough. It is going to be rough considering the 3 cars in front of him are on fresher softs, or on relatively fresh softs compared to its mediums. So it's going to be really hard to close that gap, especially since two of those guys are in their own DRS train.
Here we go. Travis Robinson into the lead of the race, around or down the inside of Hudson Poole, blocks off the entry there. Hudson at the disadvantage right now. Lee Hall be able to attack, but Hudson is going to have DRS here to try to give it back to Travis down this straight into turn 4. Can he make a move down the inside? Got to be patient here, young man. You got plenty of time here. Keeps a really good pace, really good tight to Travis Robinson. Doesn't make a move there, but still effectively in the thick of things for the race win.
That's gonna be really close. I'm curious what Lee Hall is thinking here. Even though he does have the penalty, does he maybe at some point try to making a move on somebody just because? I mean, this is why we're here. We're here to race even with penalties. So
Lee Hall has gotten more aggressive here of late, and speaking of aggressive, the Gator chomps overtakes his teammate Damian Doe to move up into P8. He's in P9. They're both going to go to work together and try to attack Colin Edwards here and move both those Alfa Romeos up another spot. Colin 11 seconds back from Jack Fletcher, so he is going to be under heavy attack from Pelter. Damien on slightly older mediums may not have quite the exact same pace, but if he can follow his teammate through, it'll be a really happy Buffalo Trace, the team principal there for Alfa Romeo.
No, it's always a wonder in this track just how influential DRS is for everyone. It just seems that DRS is kind of the deciding factor that'll determine just where you wind up finishing and just how much of an opportunity you have to attack people in front of you.
And we just barely missed it, but Jason Pelter did take that spot from Colin Edwards. Colin's on the back of him, does have DRS. He's attacking him back, so nice little swappity, swap him back and forth, and Colin does stay ahead after taking it from Jason Pelter. So Gator got all them teeth and no bite right now.
Well, he'll still have the opportunity. He's still really close, so he will have the opportunity to get back at him. So let's see what he can do.
Travis building a little bit of a gap here to Hudson Poole. Hudson does have DRS, as does Lee Hall, down to 3/10 here, 2/10 for Lee Hall. But Travis keeping a really good pace here. I'm really digging this. Duncan McCamick.
The big thing for this, in regards to the battle here between Travis and Hudson, is Hudson has not touched his battery for quite a long time. He is at about 90% right now, and it doesn't look like he only touched a little bit there. But he has been really conservative with his battery so far.
We got the Haas of Eric McNerney having a bit of a moment there. Don't know if he had any damage, but yellow flag was right near him. I don't see any damage on his car. Check back up front with the leaders here as they go through this middle sector here. Getting really close to lapping some traffic here. Cal and Eric McNerney need to be aware that the leaders are hot on their hindquarters, and I don't know if they'll get them by the end of the race, but they need to be aware, make sure their engineers are letting them know. Jack Pemberton picks up a 3-second time penalty down in P15. Not ideal for him. Victor Diaz still down in P14. Chris Hannigan looking to make a move here on John Ranger and maybe get him on the next main straight. Let's check back in with the leaders. Hudson Poole, a lot of battery to Travis Robinson, almost half the battery. Lee Hall comfortable just to sit there. That gap to Ian Kreger now almost 6 seconds, over 6 seconds. Duncan McCamick is just following Peter around. He's close enough to make a move, but I wonder if Peter's just getting better exits here, or maybe running a little lower downforce setup.
I think both the Red Bulls have the same idea right now. They both have a lot of battery, and they're both just waiting for the last few laps to blow all their battery and secure their position. There's no reason to overtake them now if they don't have to. Well, it looks like Ian has the same idea.
What can PBJ do here? He's got the better tires. He's a really quick driver. John Ranger, the French-Canadian, no slouch, though. Does keep that gap for now, but here comes Chris Hannigan. 3/10, 2/10, down to 1/10. Does he send it down the inside? He does. Sends that McLaren down the inside into turn 4. Does not run the driver out wide. That's good wheel-to-wheel racing, and that's what we want to see here in Zoom Racing League. They're not done yet. A little bit of contact, left front to right rear, and here we go into the middle sector. And PBJ is actually not going to be able to hold on to this spot as John Ranger sends it down the inside, pushes PBJ just a little bit wide. PBJ is not done yet, though. He is not giving up, folks. He is going to push it for everything it's worth here. Does get the move done. What an incredible display as Bravecraft between Chris Hannigan and John Ranger. Really good stuff, folks. That's what we are here for.
That was a lot of discipline to hold those lines. Going up through those turns 6 through 10 there's not a lot of space, and you just want to use all the track you can. But both of those guys showing a lot of respect for each other there.
All the way back in P5, Duncan McCamick looking to make this move on Ian Kreger. Keeps sticking his nose on the inside, reminding Ian, I can take this when I want it. That's my spot. I just need you to know I'm here. I'm coming. Don't forget about me. I'm right behind you. Jordan Angus doing a really good job of keeping tight here with Damian Doe. Little bit of a split here. The Williams on either side of the Alfa Romeos, and Damian's going to be at a huge disadvantage here with those older mediums for a couple of laps, and then he's actually probably going to be faster than Jordan as those. I think we're going to be 14 laps on those softs by the time this is done. So Jordan has to make as much hay as he can right now because the advantage will be to Damian in the closing stages.
I think with this amount of wear on those mediums, they should be pretty similar. The DR, how much battery they have and where they're at, and relative to each other for the DRS is going to matter more.
All right, here comes Duncan McCamick once again. Hot on the tail of Ian Kreger. He's going to poke his... No, he actually doesn't poke this time. He's actually falling back just a little bit. Jordan Angus does take that spot from Damian Doe for the time being. Jack Fletcher, 3-second time penalty. That is not going to play into anything here, though, unless Colin Edwards can get magically fast in a hurry, or Gator can do some magic to get around him and catch up to the back. So Hudson Poole still minding his battery. Still in P2 and just biding his time. 100% battery, so he's got everything on the line for the last couple of laps to attack Travis Robinson. Travis doing a little bit of battery usage to make sure he keeps that gap good. Lee Hall has less battery than Hudson, so Hudson playing the long game, playing it smart here, just tucking in behind Travis, going to follow you around, use the DRS, keep my battery high, and then I'm going to attack you on the last 2 laps.
Yeah, the big thing here is, with that amount of battery that Travis has, he's only really going to have 1 lap worth of battery to deploy, whereas Hudson will have about 2.5.
Here goes Duncan McCamick sticking his nose on the inside of the Senna S's, sucked up really close to the back of Ian. Using a little bit of battery now, a lot of ERS, and this is probably going to be the move right here. They are side by side, wheel to wheel, and Duncan is going to hang it on the inside. Nice close wheel to wheel, no contact, nice and tight. Duncan thinks better of it, backs out just a hair, and if you're Ian, you got to know this move is coming sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I think what Duncan's doing is he's trying to stay as close as he possibly can to Ian to just try to prevent Jack from getting in DRS, just so that there's just one less variable for him when he tries to make the final overtake here. I think Ian might be onto those mind games. He looks like he's kind of parking the bus a little bit during the second sector and at the end of these DRS straights. So I think he has the idea of trying to get Jack in DRS just to try to give Duncan a little bit more to think about, so he has to use a little more battery.
All right, coming up on lap traffic, we got some blue flags here. Luckily, we're not in GT3 cars, so there won't be any flashing, which one of my favorite things. Wisely, the Haas gets out of the way. Good job by Eric McNerney there to clear the way. And here it comes. Here's the move. Hudson Poole takes the spot from Travis Robinson. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Lee Hall, meanwhile, dropping back. He has dropped back to almost a second behind these guys. He was sucked up right to the back of Hudson. Hudson, all that battery. Nice attack. Takes the spot from Travis Robinson. Travis has got to do everything he can here with 2.5 laps remaining. Just try to stay on the back of Hudson. Maybe force Hudson into a little bit of a mistake.
Yeah, we'll see. Both Hudson and Travis have 2 warnings right now. So it just takes one bad corner, one bad exit, and suddenly your chance of winning is gone.
Travis already dropped 0.8 back to Hudson. Hudson just burning through that battery right now. Travis saving his battery, using the DRS to his advantage. He's just got to stay close, stay within half a second or so. Rebuild a little bit of battery. You got 2 laps here to try to make something happen. And if you're Travis, P2 ain't bad, but Travis is going for wins here. Travis is going for a championship here. Travis wants to win it all again. He wants to do the Peter Giordano. He wants to be a back-to-back champion. And Hudson Poole is the main thing standing in his way right now.
Yeah, it's possible Hudson made the move a little early. 1 lap maybe too early. We'll see. The batteries are about even now.
Victor Diaz moves up into P14, takes that spot from John Ranger. Have his sights set on Chris Hannigan next. Chris still has plenty of life left in those softs as he looks to attack Jack Pemberton here. Take a look at them. Chris within 0.4 here. Might not be quite close enough to get him into the second DRS zone. But PBJ with a good showing. Top 13 for the McLaren driver. Not bad. Richard Rose, what is it with Rivas and Saki? Man, it's the one thing I do well, and I keep doing it. Colin Edwards, 3-second time penalty. Got a yellow flag in Sector 2 momentarily for one of the Haas's, it looked like. Looks like that'd be a non-Trivedi. Beamer and G having a little bit of an issue. Travis Robinson sucked back up to Hudson Poole here within 0.3 of a second.
This is it.
That's it. Final lap, folks. Can Travis Robinson, let us know in the chat right now, who's going to win? Is it Hudson Poole? Is it Travis Robinson? Can Lee Hall pull something out of his hat here? Ian Kreger too far back to do anything. Almost 10 seconds back. Duncan McCamick has now dropped back behind Ian Kreger. Going to have to be happy with P5 as Jack Fletcher's behind him. Another yellow flag, another Haas. Just miserable day for Haas. Gunther Flossie going to be very unhappy there. Duncan McCamick does make the move around the outside. He's now on the inside of Ian, trying to make this thing stick here through the middle sectors. They are side by side, wheel to wheel through the end. Ian picks up a time penalty, and that is going to be advantage Duncan McCamick. John Ranger is DNF. He is out of the session as they come around through the final sector. It is Hudson Poole, 6/10 ahead of Travis Robinson, 5/10 ahead of Lee, and Duncan McCamick into P4. So we got a 1-4 right now for Red Bull. Travis Robinson will finish it up P2. So Hudson Poole in his debut. Travis Robinson picks up a 3-second time penalty. That is not going to come into effect. So it's Hudson Poole in his debut, the young man for Red Bull in P1. Travis Robinson, my favorite Canadian, in P2. Lee Hall, P3. Duncan McCamick, P4. Ian Krager, nice little drag race here to the end. Ian in P5. Jack Fletcher, P6. P7 to Colin Edwards. The Gator, Jason Pelter in P8. P9 to Jordan Angus, Damian in P10. Peter, Jack, Victor, Chris, Tom, Anand, Cal, John Ranger, Eric, and Ricardo round out the rest of the field. John Ranger will drop down to P19 because of the DNF, unless he had already had a lap on Eric. Eric's still sitting in P19. So that is it, folks. That is round one. Hudson Poole put it on pole, hit his teammate, dropped down to P6, made an incredible recovery all the way to P1. Ian started in P3 or P2. Peter in P4. They end up P5, P10. Travis Robinson started on pole through the penalties and managed to maintain a P2. His teammate Victor Diaz in P12. If you're OG, you're really happy right now with the AlphaTauri finishing, and that was a pretty good race. That was pretty fun. Driver of the day, the Gator Chomps, Jason Pelter, and the Alfa Romeo. So congratulations to Buffalo Trace on his driver making driver of the day.
Man, what a great end to that. Just a little bit of build up with everyone just trying to save as much battery as they can, and then just pushing right at the end.
Thank you to everybody in the chat. I got a lot of viewers tonight. I'm really happy about that. If you haven't yet, make sure you go like and subscribe. We're going to talk to these drivers here momentarily. We're going to say, so Flossie says that Eric was having problems with his penalty. Josh Damiani says Forza Ferrari. Cameron says Travis about to take a certified L right here. Travis did end up in P2. Hudson did win. Campbell said yes. JGTV says go sleek. Damian Van Bilson, good game. Campbell OG, let's go. Rochelle Phillips says hi to all. Name is Jake. Well, you need to make up your mind because we got two names going on here. So that is it. So it's Hudson Poole, Travis Robinson, Lee Hall, Duncan McCamick, Ian Krager, Jack Fletcher, Colin Edwards, Jason Pelter, and Damian Doe, 8 and 9 for the Alfa Romeos. Peter Giordano does make it up to P10 in that Ferrari after a horrendous start, dropping all the way down to P19. Let's move over to the interview room and let's see who we have right now. It is a guy that has been one of my favorite people to listen to. He's been broadcasting in D3, did D4 for us on Friday night. And this guy is, we were talking about it earlier, Big Mama Frank, a little bit of a slow start to the season last season, but at the end was out there just banging out the laps, pushing Travis, pushing Ian, pushing Duncan all the way, hanging with Hudson Poole tonight. So this is a guy that probably was picked up too late in the AlphaTauri and driving like a guy with stuff to prove. I'm talking about Lee Hall ending up in P3. Good drive, man. How you feeling?
Thanks, Revis. It was a lot of fun. A tough race. Was just clinging to the back of the DRS by the end there. Those top two guys, they're really quick, but obviously able to stick with them. So great result for the team.
Yeah, we worried early on. You picked up the 3-second penalty. We were worried early on that maybe Duncan and Ian could catch up to you guys, but all of a sudden it was a 4-second gap, a 6-second gap, and a 10-second gap at the end. Any idea what happened to those guys, or you three were just that much faster than everyone else?
No, I always knew that the top two guys, if I could just stick with them, that they would gap the other guys. So I wasn't really worried about the penalty. In fact, I also had 2 more warnings that I got on the same lap, so I was almost at a second penalty, which I also wasn't worried about. Even when they were only 2 seconds behind, I knew by the end that there would be a pretty decent gap, just because the three of us weren't going to fight each other until the very end. At least I wasn't going to fight them unless they picked up a penalty either. I was just going to let them fight. Of course, Travis picks up a penalty on the last lap there. But a couple times I thought Hudson might pick up a penalty. He looked wide a couple times, but it didn't happen. So I was just content to hang back there and get the podium.
Yeah, it was a really good drive. So any communication between the Red Bull and AlphaTauri garages, or did you guys kind of drive it on your own this evening and kind of, we obviously know there's no team orders. Duncan's not going to tell you what to do. OG's your team principal now, and you've got a great teammate in Jack Fletcher. You guys just kind of run your own thing, or was there communication between the teams?
No, there's no team orders. Honestly, I always run my own race. I'm not in Discord just because sometimes, unfortunately, it taps me out of the game, and that's not fun while you're in a race. So I usually keep that closed and just doing my own thing. Don't really need a race engineer. But it's all good, I certainly wasn't gonna run a Red Bull or my teammate Jack off the track. So hopefully everybody had a good race, and congrats to the top two finishers.
Yep, P3, P6. That's a really good start to the season. Jack Fletcher's an amazing teammate, and you're a really great driver. And man, good stuff. And I'm sure AlphaTauri is super happy right now. And I think we're gonna probably see a few more of these this year, right?
Absolutely. Shout out to OG. Great draft, buddy.
Yep, smart move. Can't believe you fell that far, but man, good news for AlphaTauri. Thanks, Lee. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
All right, waiting to hear right now from Travis Robinson. He is still down talking to his engineers. So the young man making his debut, picked up early on by Red Bull. Duncan McCamick was very excited about this driver. I was a little bit nervous with the overall #1 pick, and I had to go back and forth between the two, and I went with the known quantity. I know what Travis is about, and Hudson Poole is brand new to the league, and boy, did you make an impact tonight. What an incredible drive. You and Travis and Lee Hall kept us all entertained all night long. So how did things go from your perspective other than the win? Did everything kind of go according to plan?
Well, in qualifying, it definitely didn't. So what me and Duncan were kind of planning to do was go for a lap, do a cool down lap to save ERS and make sure your tire wear or tire temperatures, and then we go for another lap. But during my cool down lap, between the laps, I saw a Mercedes behind Duncan. I was like, all right, let's get out of the way. And I guess Duncan was looking behind him and ran into me, and that was kind of unfortunate.
So I want to make sure I understand this. You're saying it is completely your team owner's fault. It is all Duncan's fault. You did everything perfectly. Just say
Nope.
yes. Just say yes.
I think what we'll find out is that it was actually Ethan's fault because he should have told
Yeah,
him.
of course.
It was all Ethan's fault.
Anyways,
Drama in the Red Bull garage. Big Mama Frank with the inside information. So we noticed there at the end, you were saving a lot of battery. This is, we've heard from some of the other drivers, it's a little bit difficult to recharge ERS, especially when you're in that battle, in that DRS zone. So that was always the plan for you, was to attack on the last 2 laps and try to take the spot from Travis.
yeah, it was. I mean, I saw a lapped car in front of him, and I was initially going to overtake on like the last lap or like second to last lap. And then I saw a lapped car and I was like, oh, I don't want to get DRS. So I pushed and I overtook him, and I didn't use any of my ERS until like really the final straight of the last lap. And then I secured the win.
So don't dox yourself here, but I understand that you are now the youngest winner in Zoom Racing League. Is that accurate?
I'm not sure.
You may not know the history, but yeah.
Yeah, well,
I think before it was actually Raz. So
anyway, congratulations on that.
Old, yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, you didn't need to do that, but okay, if you want to, that's fine.
I don't really mind.
We will definitely put that on the wall of fame, especially because it takes a shot at Raz. That always makes me happy. So, man, hey, really good drive tonight. Really good points for you and Duncan, finishing 1 and 4. Good stuff for all the Honda Power. So you guys can go celebrate as I cry into my whiskey. So good job tonight. Congratulations on the win, and I assume we'll see a few more of these this season, right?
I hope so.
Thank you. All right, Hudson. Thank you, man. We'll talk to you later.
Yep.
All right, we did things a little out of order because I think in the Mercedes garage, there was a little bit of extra engineering debriefing. Shout out to Peter Venhaas, the cooler Peter, for engineering for Mercedes tonight. And my favorite Canadian, my #1 overall pick, the guy that I was 100% sure was going to win this race until I saw how much battery Hudson had left there at the end. It is Travis Robinson coming in P2. You got the early pole. You started P2. Hudson had the 5-place grid penalty, and so you got to run away there a little bit, and it was kind of you and Lee Hall there for a while. And I assume you felt pretty comfortable there at the beginning, but things got kind of sweaty at the end.
Hey guys. Yeah, it got super sweaty at the end. It was also super sweaty at the start. Lee Hall kept me really, really honest. I kind of wanted to work with him a little bit on the DRS pull, but it didn't quite work out. I think every single time we were about to hit a DRS activation point, I had a better exit, so he'd fall back just a smidge. But yeah, that could have definitely helped decide the race. But man, mad props to Hudson for pulling off that undercut and making it work with the older tires. That was super, super impressive driving from that guy.
Yeah, that was nuts. And the three of you just really ran away from the pack. Ian and Duncan having a little bit of a fight back there. We were watching, assuming, you know, we know how fast Ian is, and we know how quick Duncan can be. And Duncan's really been really sweaty preparing for this. I think he hasn't been doing any other racing right now except for F1. He got his new Fanatec set up, and so a Red Bull 1.4 was, you know, definitely never off the table, but a little bit surprising. But more surprising, I think Victor had some damage, changed his wing. Ends up down in P12. So any idea what happened there with your teammate?
Yeah, he had a little bit of an incident on the front straight there. Yeah, someone stuck their nose into an area they probably shouldn't have, and it spun him, and he slapped against the wall. Lost at least an end plate, if not more. So he had to take it into the pits, but also great qualifying session for him. It kind of shows that Mercedes definitely has the pace this season. He put himself like P5 or P6, so should be a pretty fun go with Victor as my teammate.
Yep. So really great drive. I know Brazil's a track you're really good at. Next week we are, and you'll have to give me a second here to go look at things because I am dumb at times. We are going to COTA. So what can we expect from Mercedes at COTA? I know that's a track you've had some success at. For me, it's a really fun track. I like it. It has a little bit of everything. Are we going to see a pretty good Mercedes fight there?
Yeah, I think it's still fresh in a lot of drivers' memories from last season. We didn't race it too long ago. Interesting to note that it is a full qualifying session, so there's going to be a little bit of a tire strategy come into play. I really hope it doesn't rain because we all saw me last season just completely fall apart in the rain. But otherwise, I do actually really enjoy the track, and I'm sure because it's so fresh in our memories, we'll probably get a spicy race once again.
Absolutely. And if it does rain, the good news is we have the Rain Meister, and now in a Mercedes power unit, the team principal of Aston Martin, Joel Guerin. So he is going to give us all the tips and tricks to keep you safe if it does happen again. So, hey, Travis, really good race. Really fun to watch you running out front for so long. A little disappointed for the P2, but man, it was, you know, if we could keep this up all season, I think we're going to have a really good chance for you to repeat as champion.
Yeah, I think so. And just major congrats to Hudson and Lee for picking up the podium positions there too, because they drove one hell of a race.
100%. All right. Thank you for your time. Go talk to your team and appreciate you, man.
Cheers. Thanks, guys.
All right. Big Mama Frank. That is it. That is the weekend done in Brazil. We are headed to USA, to the Circuit of the Americas, the land of COTA. It will line up with the Miami Grand Prix for the F1 real race. We decided to do that because Miami is not in the game yet. It will be in the 2022 game as far as we know. This is our last season in the 2021 game, and it has been interesting, to say the least, through 4 seasons here in Zoom Racing League. We went from barely making 1 division to making 2 divisions, now 3 divisions, 4 divisions with constructor academies, and I think overall the quality of racing from the beginning to now, it just keeps getting better and better, and I'm excited what our future holds.
Yeah, man. Shout out to the other stewards, you know, trying to keep, and all the other people that volunteered in the past to be stewards. They're trying to keep things clean and just encourage everyone to be a little more, to race a little more respectfully. We've seen other races or other leagues that we've kind of had to, where there can be issues with that kind of thing. But we've really found, it seems like we have just a really, really great community here.
Yep, really good stuff, really respectful. And when things do get out of line, we try to reel it back in and get people back on the same page. It's one of the communities that I'm a part of for a different type of racing for GT3s, that one of the taglines that Molson, Adam Thursby, always uses is, we're a community first, we're sim racers second. And we try to foster some of that here. We want to encourage people to be racers, to be fast, to race hard. But at the end of the day, there's still another person on the other side of those pixels. And I think that is what sets us apart from so many other leagues, our point system, our promotion and demotion system. And just a lot of fun stuff here at Zoom Racing League. But that's it for tonight. Really good weekend of racing. Mercedes in the mud is what I keep hearing. And we will see what happens next week at COTA when we go racing once again here in the Zoom Racing League. Good night, everyone.